Welcome back to Culver City, the heart of Screenland, and part 2 of Beyond Normal's investigation of this picturesque Georgian-style mansion, built circa 1918 by film pioneer and possible murder victim, Thomas Harper Ince. At the conclusion of part 1's investigation, psychic medium Ellen Marron and program host Dana Amann returned to the mansion to share with studio contact Elizabeth Prim what had been captured on video, beginning with the light play in its boardroom. From camera 3, which was recording independently inside the boardroom, we caught the ceiling lights going off and on while no one was in the room. With the light switch 2 feet from the door, as you can see here, it became obvious to us from watching this clip in particular that something odd was indeed going on with the lights. You'll notice the shadow cast by our cameraman's infrared light coming through the doorway here. This shadow was certain evidence that he had not yet entered the room when the lights came on. Studio electricians would later confirm there were no motion sensors controlling the lighting, and the switches were operating normally. This activity reminded us of a similar experience that stage manager Michael Harris described during our initial walkthrough in part 1.
As she was walking towards the exit, the lights, overhead lights, began to go off behind her. And so as she sped up, they started going off.
How long did she stay working here after that?
She said she would never do a patrol in here again.
Gathering evidence that validates reported phenomena like this is one compelling reason to investigate haunted locations. And in this case, it would appear from the sequence of events that the lights in the mansion, for whatever reason, do behave oddly. Now, Dana and Ellen also shared with Elizabeth several light anomalies referred to as orbs. Orbs are very often ignored by paranormal investigators, as a great majority are proven to be nothing more than reflections, lens flares, or something else occurring naturally in the environment. Our observations in these particular cases, however, left us wondering, such as this light anomaly appearing to leap from investigator Eric Johnson's head. And then later, when the group was asking for the identity of Thomas Ince's killer, these strange lights appeared in frame.
Right, you don't want to tell us. Right, you don't want to tell us.
The question as to whether or not we were dealing with an intelligence, either Thomas Ince or something else, is an unknown. But at the very least, camera 3 captured curiosities we cannot explain and demonstrate that something suspicious does take place here in the dark, in the early hours. Attempting to communicate with what may exist beyond death is another compelling reason to investigate hauntings, and Ellen had come prepared to do just that using a traditional method of mediumship known as a seance. In this seance, the group was utilizing what some refer to as Ouija, or spirit board.
Thomas, did someone murder you? Oh, I got a yes.
Ooh, yes.
So you know who murdered you, right? Yes or no? Were you the intended victim? So it was an accident.
So, Thomas, was there a woman involved in this situation? What was her name? Can you give us her initials?
During part 1 of this investigation, an entity did seem to be responding to our team's questions through the board, claiming to be Thomas Ince, claiming to have been murdered, and claiming, despite reports to the contrary, that the famed silent film star Charlie Chaplin was present at the time of Thomas's death.
See again? Is that CC for Charlie Chaplin?
He wasn't a woman.
Or was he?
Or was he?
What?
We continue now with the seance.
Was Charlie Chaplin there when you were murdered?
Chaplin claims that he was never on the ship. I wasn't there.
So Chaplin's story makes no sense that he told.
Assuming that other spirits may be present in the mansion, most notably the lady in white.
Thomas, are there other people that are with you on where you're at that stay here?
Investigator Christine Larson reached out with an open invitation to communicate.
Are there other people who would like to communicate with us?
Curiously, whatever or whoever else wanted to participate seemed to come up against some resistance.
There are?
Can you let them through?
As you'll see, immediately after this initial hello, the planchette began aimlessly circling the board.
We'd like to talk with the female that roams the hallways. The lady in white, are you here with us?
Were you an actress?
Can you give us the initials of your name? What's the first letter of your first name?
Was our friend Thomas not yet ready to relinquish his place in the spotlight?
Whoever's blocking her, back away, please. Let her answer. Do you want to talk to us, sweetie? If you slow down, you can talk. Thomas, will you please talk to us again? Can you slow down? And Thomas, can you come back? We just want to talk to Thomas. Are you here?
This circling continued for some time when, on a hunch, Christine reinitiated contact with Thomas
Is it getting to be
Ince.
your work time?
And our camera captured this anomaly appearing to enter the board.
Is it getting to be your work time? It's busy for you, huh? Yes? Does it bother you when people come in here when you're trying to work?
Feeling encouraged by this activity, that possibly Thomas had more to say, our line of questioning got slightly more intimate as we delved into Thomas's personal conduct, relationships, and family.
Do you mind if the women come and interrupt you? You're a ladies' man, aren't you?
Can you tell us the year?
Paranormal investigators sometimes ask a suspected intelligence to identify the year.
1.
This is an attempt to determine the spirit's level of mental presence.
Mm-mm. 9. 2.
192. What's the last number?
3.
1923.
Now, Thomas Ince died on November 19th, 1924. So this response led me to wonder if Thomas was caught in what some may refer to as a virtual reality loop, a state of mind in which the dead relive a moment of their greatest achievement, sorrow, or other significant event in their lives over and over. 1923 was a tremendous year in Thomas's career. Though not as powerful in Hollywood and experiencing a financial slump, Ince Studios was still considered a center of creativity and innovation, producing many notable films. Ince was moving away from his classic westerns, beginning to make movies with strong social statements that resonated with the public and generated awards, such as the box office hits Anna Christie and Human Wreckage. Thomas was rebuilding his vision in 1923, centralizing several companies under the Ince Studios banner and setting his sights on a promising partnership with then newspaper powerhouse William Randolph Hearst. It was a highly productive time, and if Ince is reliving those moments, I guess I understand why.
You were a pretty important man in Hollywood, weren't you, Thomas?
Well, perhaps you still are. Was Thomas married?
I don't remember. I have to go look it up.
Are you married? Did you have a wife?
I believe he was.
Managed to...
I think eventually moved to Europe after like a couple of years. But it was a couple of years. It said she stayed and kind of cleaned up what was going on at the studio, and then she disappeared.
Thomas, were you faithful to your wife?
And that was a fast no.
Did you love your wife?
Yes.
But there was someone else that you loved too? So there was another girl. Was she an actress?
Was there only one? Only one other woman? Seriously. Yeah, be honest.
In the next video sequence, our camera picked up 2 EVPs, or electronic voice phenomena.
You were a busy guy, weren't you, Thomas?
Often we find in reviewing our videos that EVP captures are barely audible, so many are left out in production in the final cut. But because of their relevance to the questioning at the time, we'll play these voices and enhance them by increasing the volume.
What was the other girl's name? Can you spell her first name for us? E? 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 Thomas, did you have children?
Nice little tap in the other room.
I can't say this experience left me entirely convinced we had contacted Thomas Ince.
Thomas, are you alone where you are?
But what I saw felt very real, and the responses through the board were definitely intelligent. Now, light manifestations and EVPs captured on videos are not conclusive evidence of life after death,
Is your lady love with you?
but they left me baffled. So all I can offer is this observation, that unexplainable activity is happening in the Culver Studios mansion, and if someone were to ask me if this place is haunted, my answer would be yes.
Are you happy where you are now?
To end the seance, Ellen closed the board. Closing a board is very important. In fact, Ellen specifically asked that we strongly caution viewers, if anyone intends on using this tool, ask for protection, create a safe space before you begin, and close the board when done. Never, under any circumstances, leave a board open. You may believe the communication was positive, or you may think nothing happened at all. Regardless, close the board. Interestingly enough, while Ellen was closing the board, our cameraman captured this final anomaly. Camera center, a small orb appears to leave the board on command.
And we'd like you to go back to your place and leave this board. Your place and leave this board. Your place and leave this board. Your place and leave this board.
The events of the seance intrigued all of us, but the next day, Ellen was reminded of an encounter she had with a spirit years prior that would take our investigation in a new direction. The name of that spirit was William Desmond Taylor. Following her intuition, Ellen researched the name and discovered that William had been a close personal business associate with none other than the Culver Studios founder, our very own Thomas Ince, and that William too had met with an untimely death only a year prior to Thomas's fateful voyage aboard the Oneida. Hearing of this experience, our producers reached out again to the studio and requested a follow-up visit to the mansion. Ellen explained to our studio contact her encounter with William Desmond and that she felt there was more to discover. Our friends at Culver Studios were gracious and curious enough to allow our team to reconvene and further the investigation.
Let me introduce our team. We have psychic medium Ellen Marron and our paranormal investigators, Christine Larson, Mike Doomhart, and Eric Johnson. Now, I want to talk to you a little bit about the spirits that have been heard and seen in this building over the last, 70 years or so. Two most commonly seen. The first is known as the Lady in White. She usually is seen right behind us in the entry hall, often either going up the staircase or at the top of the staircase. And there's even been reports of her being seen right there in that window, basically floating in midair on the second floor, because there is no floor underneath that window. The other most commonly seen spirit is believed to be the studio's founder, Thomas Ince. Now, he is normally felt or seen upstairs in the part of the second floor that used to be his office. Security people that come through here say they feel kind of pushed out of that area, like he doesn't want anyone else there. So that's kind of his domain. So if you're all ready, I'm going to take you in to meet this stage manager, Michael Harris, and we're going to get started.
Awesome. Good.
Let's go.
Let's go.
After setting up cameras and meeting with Mike Harris, the team gathered in Ince's boardroom, and Ellen opened what she liked to call a plate seance. Mediums, like Ellen, have found that asking spirits yes or no questions and using physical objects as tools to connect to the spirit's energy is often the most successful way of communicating, and is the same concept when using a Ouija or spirit board.
If the answer is no, the plate will go to the left, and if it's uncertain, it may spin. And at any time, if it gets really, really fast and you can't control the speed of it, you can either take your hand off, or what I like to do is just ask spirit to slow down, which is what we did with the spirit board session first time we came here.
Tonight, how are we going to be defining right and left?
Right will be to Christine and Mike's side, and no will be to Dana and Eric. Okay?
So we're yes, they're no. Okay.
Correct.
All right.
Okay? So, is there anyone present with
So we
us
move one
that
finger
wishes
on
to
the plate, or-
communicate?
One finger on
If
the
you
plate.
feel anything, your body or any vibrations, just feel free to throw that out. I shouldn't be the only one talking during the session.
Is this a man with
Trying
us?
to
A male?
I'm keeping my finger on the plate.
That would be a yes. Bring it back to the middle, please. We have a male.
Did you work at this studio?
Are you going to play with us? Were you a producer?
Actor?
Were you the gentleman we were speaking to earlier? What was that name? Do you know who Henry is?
Is your name Henry?
Did you own the studio?
I don't know what that answer was.
Yeah, we need a clear response. Did you own the studio? Yes or no?
Yes is toward me and no is toward Dana.
So that looks like a yes.
Which owner were you? Were you Thomas? Yes.
So it looks like we've got Thomas. Thomas Ince, correct?
The team's intention that evening was to make contact with Thomas's friends, silent film producer William Desmond Taylor and actors William Hart and Mabel Normand. We had hoped that Thomas Ince would act as a gatekeeper for those individuals. However, when reaching through the veil, there is no guarantee you'll speak to who you want. We would be reminded that when dealing with haunted locations, the most strongly connected to the property for whatever reason are the more likely to communicate.
This room we were in, is this part of your office?
Yes.
That's a yes. Can you bring it back to the center?
Bring it back.
Was it you, Thomas, that was answering our questions with the REM pod in the galley kitchen?
Yes.
I feel total static.
So Christine did go for a walk. I got you. Okay. You're awesome. Is she coming back?
You could actually feel the hair stand up when it started to go off. That's all gone.
Thomas, tell me about William Hart. Was William Hart a good friend of yours?
Did he work for you as an actor?
Yes. Was there a problem with you giving William his due money from the films? Did you hold back on money? No?
Thank you for the answer, Thomas. Thomas, did you know William Desmond Taylor? That's a yes. Did he help you out with this studio financially? All right, another yes. Thank you for answering our questions.
Did you have sets built for Mabel Norman?
Ouch. I just got a pain in my shoulder.
Again?
Yeah. This
Okay, that's a yes. You cared very deeply for Mabel Norman, is that right? And a yes.
And you were quite aware that William Desmond Taylor was in love with Mabel Norman? Was there some rivalry between the two of you?
Were you in love with her? It's pushing.
That's, I guess, I felt that he wasn't going to answer any.
Yeah, but did you feel a little bit?
Yeah, but it just felt like he's not really wants to answer any personal relationship stuff. Thomas, are you still here?
It feels, the energy feels like it's really dropped down.
Are there any other males present with us?
It's moving towards Ellen.
And that would be neither a yes or no.
Somebody moved it.
Is this a child here?
Boy, there's a lot of noise coming from that room.
Yes, there is. Almost sounds like somebody's walking around.
Yeah. Thomas, can you bring your friend William Desmond Taylor through, please?
If we're talking to Thomas anymore. I think we're talking to a child. Do you hear the footsteps or whatever it was?
Yeah,
in the
did
other
you
room?
hear him in the other room? I was going to say the energy is male energy, definitely.
Are you a little boy child? Whoa.
Whoa, went right to the edge.
Oh, is that fun making Eric just stretch all the way across the table?
Are you having a hard time breathing? Is that why you can't move the dish?
Did you become ill? Is that your chair making that noise? Creaking? You hear taps or that type
No.
of noise? Or is that the flagpole? I didn't hear it that time. Like 3 times.
Was your father at this studio? So we take that as a yes.
tell us.
Can you say yes or no? Was Thomas your father? Okay, so he was not your father. Thank you for answering that. Was Cecil B. DeMille your father? That looks like a yes. Did you ever play in the theater that your father put in the studio?
The word play is not supposed to happen here.
Yeah.
Did you watch cartoons?
Did you ever sneak into the theater your father put on the studio? That was probably someplace they told you to stay away from, correct?
Did you play on the 3rd floor?
What about the pool? Was there a pool here? They lots of them.
We conceded the night once again to our new friend Thomas Ince and feel he enjoyed our visit.
Well, interesting, Thomas.
Thomas comes through. Thomas
Loud
always
and
seems
clear.
to come through. Yeah.
I was hoping for William Desmond Taylor, but it seemed like Thomas really dominated
He did
the
say
evening.
he knew William Desmond Taylor. We got that out of him. That was a yes, but that's about as far as we got with that.
Not going to talk about relations.
And not going to talk about Mabel Norman or Olive.
We hope you enjoyed our visit, and you'll come with us again the next time we go Beyond Normal. Until then, thank you for watching.